Welcome back, everyone. Oop. Everything has a connection. Welcome back, and appreciate these questions. Let's see.
Quite a stack.
Yeah, quite. Well, this is more of a comment, but a nice one. A hazard of remote participation is walking in the dark outside and stepping in dog shit. True story. Somehow it felt appropriate at the time. I know what you mean. My recent rescue is my teacher while leash training as well, because I pause rather than pull on the leash when she's pushing ahead. That is a really helpful teaching. Sitting, I hold this image in my awareness, not to yank, but to stop. Just stop. Thank you. So, a question of, suppose I had a moment today where I got frustrated with the instruction to simply drop back or let everything be as it is, almost getting angry at Henry Yu and everybody else who says such things, almost yelling out loud at my desk. But how? Is this kind of reaction purely unhelpful? Very helpful to notice. It might be hard to ignore. The word reaction kind of strikes me. I really think it's helpful to see. We often, in mindfulness and in just this sitting, notice how it can soften us, give us sort of that space to pause, and then be more likely to respond rather than react. There was another key phrase in this that strikes me, letting things be just as they are. This is a very broken world. So this is not to say, wow, everything's just hunky-dory. It reminds me of that really major koan with Joshu's teacher, Nansen, where Joshu asks, in all earnestness, out of a deep practice, what is the way? And Nansen says, ordinary mind is the way. And, it's this beautiful exchange that in the end is a turning word for Joshu. But the question then, what is ordinary mind? And that's very similar to what I was talking about today, things as they are. On a practice level, it can be so helpful to, as Henry's saying, and you're, noticing the resistance. Allow, welcome, be with, notice the resistance that comes up, allow that, whatever it is. There's also this quality to things just as they are, like ordinary mind. That's a deeper invitation of this practice. That's more like what Yasutani Roshi was pointing to, inviting, powerfully, when he says at night, if you can hear just one sound as it really is, that's it. Henry was talking about it so clearly yesterday, this Buddha nature. What is that? It's this. The floor, the camera, the candle, sitting around, the sound, the wind here. So, our practice is not to assume that we know what that is. It's this, marvel. But what really is this? So, on the one hand, in terms of practice, of course, notice and smile and maybe rant a little, But then comes the other invitation, what is it to be with things just as they are? There's a phrase in this tradition in Zen, Buji Zen, often translated willy-nilly Zen. When I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm tired, I sleep, or can't sleep. Just the thing at hand, and that's it. And that's really missing this wonder and this greater invitation to tasting what things really are. What is this? What is this? I don't know how helpful that is, but I think a lot of people probably hear this invitation over and over and have that how come up. So let that into your sitting. It will dissolve. Also, one more thing is this coming onto the present moment. Just this. That's all. Nothing to do. Hey, Pam, this was back to the question of the dog shit. Are you sure it wasn't just a pile of moo? These masters that we are receiving from, and all of this rich tradition, and they're fierce, and they're, it's a great matter of life and death, and they're so full of humor. They laugh so freely. And I remember, this great master Unman, who we have so much of his teaching because this Blue Cliff record is compiled by, one of his disciples, Dharma descendant students, his great poet Secho, and of course, he's just got his teacher in there for every one of these cases that he possibly can. That he, and many of them are powerful, just even fierce, and some are like the only way in is right through the heart of the suffering of the world. like every day is a good day just comes to mind. You can't, there's nowhere to go. And Hakuin, later on, this great master, so a couple centuries later, he drew some of the masters, and he draws this, picture of Unmon, who I had always just pictured as, as powerful and kind of fearsome. And he's an old man with this wonderful smile that's a cross between delight and whimsy, humor, and you can feel that it's toothless. He's not showing anything. It's just, and these shining eyes, but with delight and humor. And great ease. Yeah. So thanks for the humor. My default hindrances are torpor and restlessness ricocheting around behind my sternum. I slump into one and pluck up my spine only to enter the other. Allowing is helping. I just can't seem to allow the knot in my gut to release. So I keep volleying between the two. Wow, thank you for that. So, Henry has done some really nice teaching, and I think is going to, but on these 5 hindrances, and including the sort of antidotes. And I remember one talk where Henry's talked about the antidote to torpor as this great buzzing energy of awe. Or wonder. But the word that catches me here is ricochet. So if you notice that sort of slumping in, caving in toward torpor, that I also have this image of sort of the way we fall back out of the present, like just lean back a little, rather than, ricocheting to restlessness, which is that, kind of pushing ahead a little. So maybe the pause, like when you're just pausing when the rescue pulls on the leash. And then, tune in and make that adjustment slowly, whatever it is. And see if rather than, this ricocheting back and forth, there might be some space, for the present moment of poise there. And what I like about poise, it's not up to us to hold up our body. It's kind of tuning into that. Where is that poise? And this is really touching. This knot in the gut might be helped by this poise of this moment. And the wind is blowing. What does that have to do? How might that address a knot or wherever we're holding? Yeah, it's a really good question.
She said she wanted to allow it to release, but that's not the point. It's to allow it to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That might help.
Yeah. Words of wisdom. Thank you. yeah, Henry just pointed out you wanted to allow it to release, but this allowing is allowing it to be there. So I don't want to go off on this. When I read this question, I thought of a book and a student who's a practicing psychologist is reading this book, Existential Kink, which is made the bestseller list, and it's about the ways that we hold and how they serve us. And what I like about it, I haven't read the book, but just this notion of granting whatever it is, this license to be there, and letting it just show what it needs, what's going on, and in some way what it might be serving. Just some. Sorry. Just backed up. Okay. Oh, what? Homegrown question. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, when I clicked on a message and they backed up, so I won't do that again. Let's do these in order. I'll just grab them. What are the blind spots in Sambo Zen? I don't hold to this, but I have heard Sambo Zen like many ways. I've heard it said, we're the only ones. No, I don't agree. And it's that's the risk of any path when you really commit to it and receive so much from it. But and then of course, by definition, blind spots, we can't see them. So but that one leaps to mind. Could you speak to navigating the boundaries of one's own practice during sesshin in regard to feeling and taking in the suffering of others? Yeah, we do. Of course. And what a gift, our capacity for empathy, for, and being with and trusting that just doing your sitting is a level of support beyond any calculus. It's not up to us to hold one another's stories and pain, but this sitting with. Wow. And the other thing is just we're sitting in this one heart that's holding us all. It's not up to us. Trust your sitting. It's an incredible offering, just in itself. The other one is, I noticed this is kind of related to that. We chant a gatha before our two main meals of the day. I've chanted it for years. This is a lovely little verse that we're saying here about receiving this food, with gratitude and without greed, and that it comes from the work of many hands. There are different versions. I love the one here. It's and that we eat it for the liberation of all and the fulfillment of the way. We receive this offering of food and we take it in. This is the first, bodhisattva vow. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to free them. And it's this intention, in a way, every single thing we're doing is for that, even though it's not in that way, so that ... It's just that kind of world. We're acknowledging that our every gesture, our every breath, every gift we receive is at the same time a giving, an offering, that you cannot divide that. Like Kenon, this suffering, compassion. We receive this, and our very receiving of it is also an offering, and our intention in taking this in for our own nourishment is that the world be nourished. And on some level, that's exactly what's happening. And on the other level, we do this practice, and then we go do what is ours to do. But this meal offering, how beautiful, this one body. That, it's said a lot that what this practice is, or sometimes it's said, this is saving work. Like, what? That's the bodhisattva way. This vow to sit, to walk, to practice together, also just living. What is that? What is this wholeness? In a sense, you're embodying this wholeness. It's already so. But our abbot speaks of this saving work. At the same time, could not be more saved from the beginning. More whole. And knowing that, we offer with gratitude for the possibility of offering whatever we can. The quote about hearing the sound of the bell and reaching the end of practice. What is meant by the end of practice? Yeah. Well, that's to be discovered. That's this great resolution that actually at the ninth verse in our translation, the life and death is a matter of prime importance. That great matter, that's what this is about, resolving the matter of life and death. Ruben Havito Roshi, our wonderful master, teacher, says a better translation of that, more just to the point, would be life and death is a matter of life and death. But to see what that is, this is again things as they are. Hear one sound. See. Like, Roshi will hold up his stick, his teaching stick. And say, Zen is to let this stick be a stick. Or if you can really see this stick as it is, that's it. That's it, is like this, this whole awake world that we're talking about, that, these questions also rightly point to, is so problematic. Except it's just what this is. It's not something to gain or get or go after. That's where we really get into trouble. Dogen, this wonderful 13th century master, we're so indebted to, so with us. And he writes prolifically about awakening and evocatively a very complex and creative language. And then he'll say the only problem is wanting, or the problem is wanting. Yeah, there's just nothing to get. And yet, hear one sound, one strike of the han, one bell, or one step. As it really is, that's all there is. That's all of it. Nothing outside it. And you're gone. Just that. Everything. But gone. Gone. But everything. Or and. I don't know. Dogen says, this falling away and the 10,000, this, great vacancy suddenly. And the 10,000 myriad things awaken you. You don't awaken the 10,000 myriad things. That's his way of getting at that. But for us, it's more simple. Just take a step. Trust the practice. See if I can grab a couple of these. Okay. Oh, there was a wonderful thank you from a musician. Many times before, I've been in spiritual circles and come home totally energized and gone right back to my old conditioning within a few days. What has most deeply supported you in staying true to your inner journey? Yeah, thank you. That's a beautiful way of asking that. And, there is such a momentum that coming out of this kind of devoted, dedicated, focused time with the forms, even at home, however you've set up these forms to create the space for this practice. And then we return to our regular schedules, our daily lives. And often, there's a momentum. There really, and it's worth noting and kind of not going too fast. Letting that momentum, soak the ground like that, like a rain, like a deep rain in the desert. That reminds me of Henry's answer to this question once, because it's common. He talked about the waterworks, all of as this dharma, like we have, clouds and rain and lakes and oceans and puddles, all these waterworks, and even a drop is the dharma. It's water. And so recognizing that, I just felt this sort of ease when I heard that, and delight in the image, because it's everywhere, we might not be as intentionally, thoroughly immersed, but just pause, and there it is. For me personally, Sangha is a huge support. And that's these people sitting around, that's these people, all of you, that's our community of practitioners, ever growing. It's also, the Sangha is just this 10,000 myriad things, also that level of support. But I mean Sangha in the sense of sitting with others, practicing with others. Also having a relationship with a teacher has been enormously helpful to me. Over many, many years, it's been more than one. That real one-on-one relationship, and then just the ways all the teachers, including the rescue dog and the poop, years ago, or not too long ago, last time I was at Sonnenhof, somebody asked this, and that was kind of a different orientation, and stepping back a little from the just immediate support for this path, I spoke about gratitude, trust, and not knowing. Very helpful. There's a comment. Thanks for the Teisho. I had bad restless leg in the night seats. I asked, who hears my restless leg? It brought some golden tears in the post-Teisho sit. Yeah. Canon isn't someplace else. And those golden tears. There's one question here I'll get to. About a title of a book, and another title of a book just came up. If you're lucky, your heart will break. Boy, if you're sitting there in the midst of great pain, that may not seem. That's not what that book is speaking to. It's this, for the, breaking all the way open, that no edge, no border. So this heart that is not up to me to bear or hold or contain, that kind of opening. The golden tears of the whole world. And also just this response to being with restless legs and not pushing it away, but raising that question. This is the one. There's a book by Zen Master San. Do you know how to say it?
What's it called? Only don't know, is it?
No, it's wanting enlightenment is a big mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, San. Again, just the title. This speaks a deep truth to me. What is your perspective? Do you think it's helpful to want Kensho, or does that wanting, desiring become craving that just leads to more suffering? I kind of spoke to that. I really like the title of this book. Just that alone, it's like, if you're lucky, your heart will break. Wanting enlightenment is a big mistake. We could just make a book list with titles. This is Dogen. Wanting is the problem. It's not real. It takes us off. It's right here. And there's so much about this way, that even as we walk it, it's you. So there was an article I read, because it came up. It was written a year ago, but it was republished in Buddha Dharma by Joan Sutherland on enlightenment. And she speaks to this without not speaking about enlightenment. I'm not so fond of that word, but awakening. She speaks about it, but she also really, it's this alive now, just coming up, nothing to get, attain. And yet she's honest about this. Henry's used this image of dye and water that just sort of dyes everything. But wanting works against it. This is that ordinary mind is the way. Joshu said, well, should I turn toward it or not? And Nansen says, if you turn toward it, you go against it. That's what's going on here. Could a variant of the koan who hears be who plays when playing an instrument, for example? Or is it more preferable to practice this type of koan with a passive sensation than an act? Oh no, I think who plays is lovely. I ended up being so grateful for that overlap of being a flutist professionally with this practice. I mean, that's what got me into it, it seemed. But, it's such a beautiful thing to do, and also right there in that thing that I loved most, is this place of suffering, of separation. And a few years into practice, really, this Sangha teacher, the forms, regular sitting, regular session. There, Kubota Roshi, the previous abbot of Sambo Zen, traveled from Japan to Dallas. I mean, it was a big deal for us. And, to lead a sesshin. And Ruben invited him. And I just couldn't stay away. But on the Saturday night of this retreat that ended on Sunday at around noon, I think, I had to, I was booked, for a pretty significant recital on a series with a classical guitarist. So just flute and guitar on this, series, this chamber music series in Dallas, with all the flyers and all the publicity. And I couldn't not go. I mean, I didn't know what it would be like to sit this way. And, I don't really sleep much because of all the energy in session. It's fine. You're sitting, it's okay. But all the little muscles, and the control that's needed of these fine muscles to play a wind instrument, and how they feel, for example, right now, like they never did that ever in their life. So I went to this retreat, and at 4:00 on Saturday afternoon, I left, went home, showered, long black dress, warmed up a little, went to the venue, warmed up a little. We walked out and bowed and started to play. And whatever intention came to mind, that happened. There was nothing in between. I'd never quite had that experience. It wasn't like, now I'm going to make a diminuendo, so move your lips this way and support the airstream this way, and listen so that it won't go flat. It just softer. And that went on. We were, we had about 45 minutes of the program, and it was just a wonderful experience. The next time could be totally different, like so stiff and out of shape, and I'll never do this again in my life. But it was a wonderful taste that could come from this question of who plays. When Dogen said, the sky skies the sky, that's what's happening. It's just skying, playing. Should I stop? I think we've come to the end of this time. And I will save the chat, and
really appreciate the questions all around. Thank you.